All right, week 3 power rankings time. In the daylight this time, but I am getting over a cold, so it's probably gonna be a little congested during this. Sorry. So talking about the games from week 2, the best was Seahawks and Patriots. Obviously, it went into overtime. It was very close. Followed by Bengals and Chiefs. Always good to see them play. Buccaneers and Lions, another playoff game from last year. It was fun to watch. And 49ers Vikings was also a very surprisingly close one. I don't think a lot of people expected to be as good as it was. The average games we had Bears Texans. It was good up until like the fourth quarter. And the Jets and Titans was another one that was good up until the end, and then the Jets broke away. Steelers and Broncos. It was a good game if you like defense. Low scoring games. And Giants and Commandos, another low scoring, heavy defense game, but close and fun to watch. The lesser games, though, we had Ravens versus Raiders. It was only good like at the very end. Browns and Jaguars as well. It was not competitive until the fourth quarter, and then you just felt bad that the Jaguars couldn't catch up. Colts and Packers, it was just a bit low scoring. Close affair, but just it wasn't good defense. It was pretty much just bad offense, just lots of running the ball left and right. And Falcons and Eagles, it was only good until the end. It was like field goal season. The Falcons didn't get a touchdown until the fourth quarter. The Eagles, I think, only had one in the beginning until the fourth quarter. So another fourth quarter game to watch. But the worst games were Saints and Cowboys. Just a blowout, although you kind of felt happy for the Saints, at least Saints fans, to see that happen. Maybe the Cowboys stadium is going to be cursed for them now instead of the other way around as it was last year. Rams and Cardinals, another blowout. Panthers Chargers, another blowout. The worst game, though, was definitely a Thursday night. Bills and Dolphins, just not fun to watch. Apparently Thursday nights are going to go back to being garbage as they have been the last couple of years. Let's talk about the power rankings now. I got the Panthers last and the Giants 31. Swap them from last week's rankings. I think the Panthers just looked worse. And apparently they were benching Bryce Young, so that's a clear sign that, yeah, they're the worst team in the league right now. 30 got the Jaguars. I'm just really disappointed in them. I think they're the worst looking team in the AFC, and I had not exactly high expectations for them, but better than this. 29 I got the Rams, another very disappointing team that I had as like my Super Bowl favorites, a dark horse team. 28 the Bengals, also my two favorites to go to the Super Bowl teams, another rematch. But yeah, both teams are very disappointing thus far. 27, I got the Broncos. I can't say disappointing, given we didn't have high expectations for them, but definitely the preseason kind of gave me more optimism that Bo Nix was going to ball out, but you can tell that it's a young rookie team that's still trying to mesh well with each other. 26, I got the Titans. About where I expected them to be, I think, going into the season. 25, the Colts. That's a disappointing one. I expected them to actually win the division, but they looked terrible against the Packers. And Anthony Richardson, despite having a good game against Texans, I don't want to put them too low because they had such a good Week 1 game, but after that abysmal performance, I think they deserve to be fairly low. And 24, I got the Falcons. They're coming off a good win, but since they lost in Week 1 and they only looked good in the fourth quarter, I don't want to put them too high. And 23, I got the Ravens. As far as the winless teams, I feel like they're the best. They barely lost both games. If you're a Ravens fan, I wouldn't be too worried on your season, especially with the Bengals not looking so hot either. The 22, I got the Cowboys. Probably the lowest of the 1-1 teams. I want to put them higher, but given that poor performance against the Saints, I think you just got to wait and see. 21, I got the Browns. I'm not too high on them, but they did get the win. 20, the Commanders. I feel like this might be too high, but they're coming off a good win that I want to put them somewhat higher. They'll probably go back down week 3, but let them enjoy let them enjoy the win. 19, the Patriots, just kind of right in the middle somewhere. They're a very good team. I don't think they're as bad as people thought they'd be. 18, the Bears. I had these guys way too high last week, put them at number 4 because of that defense. And the defense is still good, but with how Caleb Williams is playing and developing slowly, they definitely deserve to not be in the top 5 or even the top 10. At 17, I got the Eagles. Just, I don't know what to say. That was a weak performance in the fourth quarter. They got to be kicking themselves. And I'm not sure if I should put them higher or lower at this point, so we're just going to stick them in the middle. And at 16, I got the 49ers, another middle-of-the-pack team that I think are kicking themselves, that they look that rough. Their offense is really struggling now without CMC. We'll see how they do when he gets back, but I'm not quite sure when that is. 15, I got the Raiders, another team that's probably too high, like the Commanders, but I think you got to let them. They got a good win. Let's let them have their time and celebrate, the win. 14, I got the Dolphins. I don't want to put them too low, but they are a team that I'm worried are going to sink lower after the Tua injury. 13, I got the Cardinals. I put these guys way too low last week. I was hesitant because of how they blew their lead in the second half, but they looked astounding against the Rams, so I'm going to bump them all the way from 26 to 13. Number 12, I got the Jets. They're higher this week. I think they looked a lot better. Granted, they're going up against a worse defense than they did in the 49ers, but we'll see how they do against the Patriots. I think that the Patriots defense has been solid, and it'll get us a good test to see where this Jets offense really is. And 11, I got the Lions. Can't put them in the top 10 after the loss, but all right. Continuing, we have the Packers at number 10. I think that as far as the 1-1 teams go, they looked the best. They gave a good fight against the Eagles, and they barely lost to them. And then they won against the Colts without Jordan Love. So I think that deserves some recognition, and I think that really shows that they're the strongest 1-1 team right now. Number 9, I got the Chiefs. I just think they're the lowest of the undefeated teams. They seem to, they only lost by a toe in week 1, or won by a toe, and then they really got bailed out by the refs against the Bengals. So I feel like they're the luckiest winless team so far, undefeated team. At number 8, I got the Steelers. Again, it's all their defense. Their offense seems to be getting better. It looked better in week 2, but we're still seeing how this goes. At number 7, I got the Vikings. They definitely struggled a bit against both opponents, but they got 2 wins, so I think we have to show them, give them some credit and put them, beating the 49ers, they got to go up here. Number 6, I got the Seahawks. They play some easy opponents. We play a Dolphins team without Tua next week, so I feel like we'll probably go 3-0. But despite the level of competition we've had, a win's a win, and I think that they're the 6th best team right now. Number 5, the Buccaneers. I think I had them at 2 last week, but it was a good game against the Lions, but I think they kind of got bailed out a bit by some mistakes they made. Number 4, I got the Chargers. Might be too high, but for now, they seem, I like what they're doing this year, and we'll see how far they can go. Number 3, I got the Texans. Number 2, I got the Bills. And number 1, I'm going to keep the Saints there. That's just 2 weeks in a row now that they've looked like the best team. We'll see how long this can last. Who they play in week 3? The Eagles. I feel like the Eagles are going to struggle after that weird loss against Atlanta. They might do really poorly this week. Let's take a look at the games upcoming this week. We got Jets and Patriots on Thursday night. I think this is actually going to be a close game with how good the Patriots have been looking lately. I think it's going to be like a race to 21. It's going to be pretty close. Eagles and Saints. I think the Saints will blow the Eagles out. Score at least 30, maybe even 40. The Browns and the Giants. I'm going to pick the Browns, unfortunately. I'll be rooting for the Giants. They need a win. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game, and the Giants just don't have the offensive power to score. Bears and Colts, I actually think will be a shootout, but I think the Colts will win it. Texans and Vikings, I think will be the opposite. I think it'll be a very... I think it'll be a shootout. Texans and Vikings, yeah. It'll be a close one. Probably come down to a field goal, but I think the Texans, I think the Sam Darnold train stops here. Chargers and Steelers. I'm going to pick the Steelers in this one. I feel like the Chargers have a lot of rookies, rookie receivers that I think they're only going to be able to run the ball, and I feel like the Steelers line is going to be able to shut that down. And even though if the Chargers win, it's going to be because of Broncos and Buccaneers. I think this will be a bit of a blowout. I think the Buccaneers can beat them quite easily. Packers, Titans, I'm going to switch. I originally had the Titans winning, but I want to see Malik Willis win it for the Packers. Panthers, Raiders, it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I pick in the Raiders. Dolphins and Seahawks is going to be close, but I'm going to say the Seahawks are going to win it, but I do think we're going to have to score like 30 points. The Lions and Cardinals will be a high-scoring game, very close, and then the Ravens-Cowboys, I think, will be a low-scoring game, very close. 49ers-Rams, I think, will be determined by a field goal. Chiefs-Falcons, originally I chose the Chiefs, but I kind of like seeing Cousins play well on primetime, so let's have him get the win and give the Chiefs their first loss. Jaguars and Bills, I sadly think will be a blowout with how poor the Jaguars have been looking lately. And Commanders Bengals, I think will actually be really close and come down to like one score. But I'm going to say the Bengals finally get their first win of the season. Broncos and Buccaneers, I think this will be a bit of a blowout. I think the Buccaneers can beat them quite easily. Packers, Titans, I'm going to switch. I originally had the Titans winning, but I want to see Malik Willis win it for the Packers. Panthers, Raiders, it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I pick in the Raiders. Dolphins and Seahawks is going to be close, but I'm going to say the Seahawks are going to win it, but I do think we're going to have to score like 30 points. The Lions and Cardinals will be a high-scoring game, very close, and then the Ravens-Cowboys, I think, will be a low-scoring game, very close. 49ers-Rams, I think, will be determined by a field goal. Chiefs-Falcons, originally I chose the Chiefs, but I kind of like seeing Cousins play well on primetime, so let's have him get the win and give the Chiefs their first loss. Jaguars and Bills, I sadly think will be a blowout with how poor the Jaguars have been looking lately. And Commanders Bengals, I think will actually be really close and come down to like one score. But I'm going to say the Bengals finally get their first win of the season.